Hey guys, welcome to the Reading Stack today. I'm Hunter, and today we're going to be covering the book Aesop's Fables, as told by Aesop and translated by V.S. Vernon Jones. Now, this copy of Aesop's Fables I have it's a Barnes & Noble classic, and this book in particular contains 284 of Aesop's fables. So the fables themselves cover about 243 pages, and then there's about 26 extra pages for, like, I guess you could say the bonus features that give the background on the fables and just the ancient classical world of Greece, where a lot of these stories came out of. Aesop, who created the fables, he was a Greek fabulist, which is someone that writes and creates fables. And a lot of his life rests in obscurity. There's a lot of different details and claims as to who he was. He's a figure that rests in a little bit of mystery. So what's a fable? A fable is a story that a lot of it rests in moral lessons that come with really kind of crazy, kind of whimsical things such as animals. There's gods and goddesses, there's vines, there's branches making up these fables and moral lessons we can take away from it. It's kind of in contrast to a parable you see, like the ones Jesus told and other people in the ancient world. The parables more like typical and natural things, like using a librarian for your story, or using, like Jesus did, tax collectors, or a king. A lot of those things are less fantastical of origin, but then of course his had a lot of supernatural meanings and spiritual lessons. But these have a lot of moral lessons that we take from stories about animals and as well as non-living things. Well, what's in it? What's in this collection of Aesop's Fables? The first one in the story is a very famous one. It's called The Fox and the Grapes. A hungry fox saw some fine bunches of grapes hanging from a vine that was trained along a high trellis, and did his best to reach them by jumping as high as he could into the air. But it was all in vain, for they were just out of reach. So he gave up trying and walked away with an air of dignity and unconcern, remarking, "I thought those grapes were ripe, but I see now they are quite sour." Next, the farmer and the stork. A farmer set some traps in a field which he had lately sown with corn, in order to catch the cranes which came to pick up the seed. When he returned to look at his traps, he found several cranes caught, and among them a stork, which begged to be let go, and said, "You ought not to kill me. I am not a crane, but a stork, as you can easily see by my feathers, and I am the most honest and harmless of birds." But the farmer replied, "It's nothing to me what you are. I find you among these cranes, who ruin my crops, and like them you shall suffer." And it even features the lesson at the end. It tells you in bold after some of these fables, and it says, if you choose bad companions, no one will believe that you are anything but bad yourself. So choose wisely who you hang with. Next, we'll read one of the last fables in the book, The Hawk, the Kite, and Their Pigeons. The pigeons in a certain dovecote were persecuted by a kite, which is a small hawk, who every now and then swooped down and carried off one of their number. So they invited a hawk into the dovecote to defend them against their enemy. But they soon repented of their folly, for the hawk killed more of them in a day than the night had done in a year. And I think a good lesson there is be careful what you replace something with. When we cry for a change, we have to be very careful on what we get in the stead of the old. Whatever's new might not be as helpful and as glorious as we want. The grass is always greener on the other side, so to speak. So, does this collection of Aesop's Fables belong on your bookshelf? Well, yes, if maybe you're interested in something that would be quotable. You know, you can quote a lot of these stories, tell great stories, make people laugh. A lot of these are hilarious. They're jam-packed with irony. They're very easy to understand, a lot of these. Sometimes they have a little bit of archaic language. Maybe it was the translator's preference, like when it uses the word maybe ask, it may use the old word pray, you know. I pray thee give me whatever. So a little archaic at sometimes, but it's very easy to quote. Very entertaining. I laughed a lot through this. Made a lot of notes. I've used these stories personally. When I was youth pastoring, I would preach to at different churches and my own. And the stories of the fables really connected with a lot of people, with whatever point I was making with a particular scripture and its lesson. A lot of these are just great stories. They have great lessons. And I think the value of them increases over time as you go through life longer, you see the truthfulness of a lot of this. You see a lot of these situations play out that these animals really embody. And these are really worth pondering, these fables. They really could make you think a lot. It's been making Western civilization think and learn a lot from its very beginning. And there's some people that really go through the different meanings and possibilities the Aesop or the storyteller had in mind when he made these. A reason why it might not belong on your shelf, it just depends on the person. If you're somebody, a lot of these are pretty offensive at sometimes. If you've committed one of those follies that say the animals did, it could, I guess you could say there's a trigger warning. It could trigger some people that, it can cut you to the quick, so to speak, be painful. There's a lot of good rebukes in there. Some of the stuff really makes you be like, ouch. I've made one of these mistakes, not being patient or not being prepared. It's really powerful wisdom literature, and it can really sting sometimes. You may approach Aesop's Fables and remember the tortoise and the hare story, and you may think you're getting a tortoise, but you end up with a porcupine, something that pokes you a lot. And it's definitely not chicken soup for the soul. It's not going to be a lot of really super positive stories that are always comforting, but really they're calling you to be wise. They're calling you to turn from your foolishness. Lessons. What lessons can we get out of this? Aesop's Fables overall. I think one lesson that's really stuck with me from it is to tell story. These just started as a story somebody told, and they lived on, and we have them today. So I think you never know what stories of beneficial moral lessons you can pass on to your children that goes to their children's children and so on. Just the value of stories, and that's something we really cover here on the Reading Stack is good stories. And I think Aesop's Fables are excellent stories. They're real quick, real witty, sometimes painful, entertaining with the animals and all the different farmers, all the life going on in the stories. But guys, we need to tell more stories. We need to pass on more insights, and stories are a great way that make people listen. We love to be entertained, and we also love to be challenged, and usually not super directly, but a story is a great way to do that. And so I just hope we tell and pass on more good stories with people. And I hope you all have a great day. I thank y'all for tuning in, and I hope you'll want to pick up one of these books. I'll link in the description a website that contains all of Aesop's Fables for free in the public domain. And you could check out some of those for yourself to see, hey, should I get the book or not? It's just all there online. It's really good. It's good to get one on your shelf because you can just pick it up, real attainable, and just jump into a good short fable. All right, y'all have a great day. Tune in next time, and we'll be covering something else, another good story, and I'll see y'all later.